Hi, Abraham.
We are.
I never thought you would call me, even though I do. I don't know. It's confusing. I have a few questions.
Sometimes a manifestation is your confirmation of where you are. Sometimes the confirmation comes before the manifestation. You just know. You're right, it's a variable, but it's not confusing. It's just a variable. And the more you pay attention and note how you're feeling and what's happening, then the less confusing it is and the more certainty you have. Yeah.
You kind of touched on some of my questions yesterday.
We got every one of them. But you're hatching new ones all the time.
Yes.
We cannot satisfy one of your questions without your question evolving.
Yes. Every time I think about you, I commute to work, and I have a lot of time in the car, and I listen to your CDs, your DVDs. For some reason, I get really, really emotional from time to time, and I don't understand what sometimes it'll touch things, it'll help me connect with some memories of things in my past.
It's a clearing process. It's a bridging of beliefs process. It's hearing something now. You're in a clear space. You're in your car, mostly tuned in. And then you are listening and finding resonance. And when you find resonance with a solution, sometimes it activates the corresponding problem just a little bit. But because the resonance with the solution is so powerful in that moment that you're describing, it bridges that, it changes it, it brings it closer to who you really are. So you could call it a clearing process or a bridging process or a relieving process. Yeah.
So the emotion, I get really emotional. That's good? Because it's confusing
always.
To me.
Well, it's good in that it's touching a sensitive spot and leaving it in a new place. You see, your vibration is where you last left it. That's what a belief is. It's just a thought that you've continued to think, and all of your beliefs are where you last left them. So when you get into this clear place where you're really finding resonance with the source within you, what happens is it causes as we said earlier, a bridging process. But a better way to say it is it moves that belief to a new place. And that's why you feel the emotion. It's your inner being's exhilaration about your movement. And it's in your openness and connection, it's your reception of your inner being's perspective about what just happened.
Okay.
It's a coming home feeling.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I think you said that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I have another question. I feel like since I've been listening to you, I've been growing and connecting better, understanding why I'm here and what I want to do and what I'm supposed to do. And I think I've been doing that. But I have this problem with having joint pain, and I know that's part of the resistance. But it doesn't seem like it's getting better, even though I feel like I'm improving in all other areas.
Well, remember that thoughts are turning to things, and all thoughts are turning to things. So the thing that's a little tricky, it gets easier, and it doesn't have to be tricky, but we get why it is. When you have a physical manifestation, like a physical discomfort, it gets your attention. It's not easy to think about a happy, healthy foot when your toe is throbbing. So because you and almost everybody you know is accustomed to giving your attention to things that are of a physical nature, then it's logical that when you feel physical discomfort that you would focus upon it. So that's a perpetuation of that. And it's a lot to ask, we know, to ask you to feel pain and notice its absence.
I want to be done with it.
In other words, I want that to go away, which means you want to exclude that from your experience. There's no exclusion in this universe. There's only attraction. So every time you say, I want that to go away, you say, please stay with me. I want this thing I do not want to go away, which is exactly the same thing as saying, I'm giving my attention to you and therefore you cannot go away. So what you want to do, you want to find times when you feel best to reinforce that through your appreciation and thought. Not a time that doesn't feel good. That's not the time that you are actively improving anything. It's when you do feel good, which is much of the time. I want to talk about something here. You have hatched a new analogy. So let's talk about this. You hear us talk about getting out ahead of things. So if you wait until you have the physical discomfort, you're not out ahead of it. You're already experiencing what you're experiencing. So you didn't get out ahead of it. But let's talk about the best tool for getting out ahead of things is meditation. Because in meditation, you quiet your mind. In quieting your mind, you stop thought. In stopping thought, or slowing it down, in stopping thought, you stop resistance. And when there is no resistance, now you're open to what you've been asking for every time you've had pain. Every time you say, I don't want this, you have said, I do want this. So your vortex is full of what you do want relative to that. So when you quiet your mind, you are then, in those moments, allowing yourself to be a cooperative component to your own desire. So let's talk about meditation in a new way. So imagine that you're in a very busy household. Maybe you're visiting somebody, maybe it's your own household, but it's chaotic. There's a television blaring and somebody's playing a radio somewhere and there are people moving about making lots of noise and somebody has a drum set. It's just hard to, under these conditions, find your own quiet space because the environment that you are accustomed to observing isn't providing you the quiet space. So you say, I'm going to go find my quiet space. So you begin moving about this big house and you go deeper and deeper into some place where the others aren't. And you find yourself in a room and now you can't hear the noise of the voices, but you can still hear the television blaring. And then there's that little one that has that high-pitched screech that every now and again just lets go with, and you heard that. And the drums, you can still hear the drums. And so you go deeper into the house and deeper into the house and deeper into the house. And then you find this room deep in the house. It might be a clothes closet with lots of acoustics, and you get in there and the relief, because you have put yourself in a place where you are no longer observing the chaos of this house. Well, that's what meditation does for you in a chaotic world where the chaos is in your own mind. In other words, it's not just the noise of the world that's blaring at you. It's the noise of your own contradictory beliefs. It's the noise of your own observation of things that you don't want. And so by quieting your mind and allowing yourself to just relax deeper and deeper into this space where you are less and less observant of what's going on, you find, now let's think about what you found in the closet. You found quiet. You found relief. You found relief. And it is a relativity thing, relief from the chaotic atmosphere that was surrounding you. But that's what meditation gives you. It gives you relief. It gives you the opportunity to make it easier for yourself. Now, we want to be clear. You don't need to burrow yourself in the closet deep in the house, and you don't need to think in terms of burrowing yourself into the quiet of meditation. But if you give yourself the opportunity to quiet your mind, you will discover that sanctuary where the chaos does not have your attention. And when the chaos does not have the attention, and by chaos we mean your doubt about things, your disbelief in the things that you want, your attention upon things that you don't like to put your attention upon, when you find that well-being within that quieted mind, and you allow your vibration to rise. Now let's blend these analogies in this way. Now that room you're in that house, it's not just a safe haven from the chaos. It transforms into this magnificent place where butterflies are flying around, and flowers are growing up in the floorboards, and the fragrances in the room are delicious. In other words, we want you to realize that once you get into this quieted mind, once you quiet your mind, which stops resistance and allow your vibration to rise, now you are in sync with what's in your vortex and with what your inner being knows and with the thoughts that your inner being thinks. And now those thoughts are wafting into your mind. And now this meditative room, so to speak, this environment blooms, it blossoms, it becomes fragrant with all of the delicious details of what you've been putting in your vortex, streams of ideas and streams of pleasant thoughts and movies and scenarios play in your experience. And that's getting out ahead of it, you see. If you can get out ahead of it before the chaos has surrounded you, now the chaos won't find you because you're on a different frequency. It's tuned to one place and you're tuned to another. And even though you're walking through a room or a world of traffic and worrisome people and people that are afraid of this and that and the other, because you're tuned to the well-being that is really who you are, that's what you're predominantly seeing and knowing, no matter what is being reflected to you through your physical senses. You're translating what you see in a different way through the eyes of Source, you see. Helpful?
I think so, but there's one other question about that I don't understand. A lot of times this happens to me at night when I go to bed, and it seems to me that...
Well, at the end of your day, you often are not out ahead of it because you've been doing lots of things other than what we just described all through your day. So the end of your day has to be worse than the beginning of your day. Momentum says it must.
And why do I wake up in the middle of the night where it's the worst?
Because your vibration's where you last left it. Your vibration is where you last left it. You got to do the work. You are doing the work. You are doing the work. But we want you to hear, we are so appreciating your candor and your question. And we love the new analogy you drew from us. We want you to relax and acknowledge that you are doing the work and it's getting better and better. And we also want you to understand. You see, you're providing just the most wonderful thing right here because you are drawing attention to something that's bothering you. Bothers a lot of people. You're not the only one that could speak those exact words. So by you focusing on that, which is why you're here in this physical body, to experience the contrast, while you focused there, you caused us to focus here. And what we accomplished in this conversation was wonderful. We took thought beyond what it has been before. We brought getting out ahead of it to a whole new level. We added practicality to it in a way that we have not added before. Lots of you got more understanding in it. But just don't beat up on yourself that when the question is so active, you can't really hear the solution. We're jumping up and down because you evoked from us our favorite analogy ever. And when we said, how about that? You said, well, it was all right, but. And that's okay because you are where you are. In other words, the drums are still drowning out the music that we're playing. Everything's good.
Yes.
You're finished?
Yeah.
Really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.